Hey guys, in the previous video we added a gitignore file, and after adding the gitignore file, the way we pushed it to GitHub is something like this. So we select the two files. Before that, let's check which branch we are on. So we're on the main branch. So we selected the two files, we added them, basically staged them, give a commit message, so something like added GitHub flow diagrams, commit it on the main branch, and we just did a git push, right? Now this approach works fine if you are the only person working on this project. So for example, now if I go and look into GitHub, if I refresh it, you will see under drawings we now have also GitHub PR workflow. You can see under images we have now GitHub PR workflow PNG. Now if you're the only person working on a project, by all means continue doing this, but more than often this is not the case. More than often there are multiple people working on the same project on which you are working on, and then what you want is a way in which you can collaborate with others without, let's say, affecting each other's work. Now the way you can achieve this in Git, or let's say in GitHub, is by way of creating pull requests. So that brings us to the agenda of this session, and that is to learn how to collaborate with others on GitHub. And the objective of this session then is to understand how working with pull requests look like. So the way we are going to do this in this video is twofold. Number one, we will look at the diagram so that we understand how the whole process looks like, and then we will push our README file not directly to the main branch, but instead via creating a pull request. So let's look at objective number one, which is to see how the process looks like. So in a typical workflow, what happens is, let's say you're working on, let's say a tester starts his day or her day, and you want to add new test cases, or you want to modify some broken test cases. So as the first thing that you want to do is you want to change directory to your project, and then you check out your main branch, and as the first thing what you want to do is you want to pull the latest code from your GitHub main branch into your local project main branch. And the reason is maybe somebody else has pushed some new changes which you want to use in your own project. Once you have pulled the latest changes from the main branch, then what you want to do is you want to create a new branch for whatever feature you want to add. So for example, in the previous video we added a gitignore file. So instead of directly pushing or committing the changes on the main branch, they could have actually checked out a new branch called add a gitignore file, for example. When you run this command git checkout -b with the branch name, not only you create a branch, but you also check out that branch. There's another way in which you can first create a branch, which is like, let's say if you say git branch, give the branch name, and then you can check out the branch name. But this is like more efficient, at least when you want to create new branches which are not existing branches. The next thing that you want to do is, once you have created the branch, you want to merge the change on your branch from the changes that you have on your main branch. Now let's say if you are doing this for the first time, then of course your current branch contains all the code from the main branch, and there's nothing that you have to do. But if the branch is already existing and you've been working on it, let's say from 1 or 2 days, then you really want to do this, and most probably you will have some merge conflicts that you want to fix after you merge your branch with the main branch. Then you basically create all the desired changes for your branch, you stage and commit all the changes, and then you push your changes on your branch, on your remote branch. And if you're doing it for the first time, if you do git push, Git will suggest you to do it like git push set upstream origin and then with your branch name. Once you've done it like once, then you don't have to give this big command all the time. Just doing a git push will suffice. And when you're done with basically all your changes, then you're ready to create a pull request. And the way you create a pull request is you go to the client that you're using. It could be GitHub, it could be Bitbucket, whatever, but then you use the graphical user interface to create a pull request. We'll see it in action. So for now it's just good enough to see that you create the pull request from the GUI of whatever client that you're using on your cloud. Now once the PR is created, depending on if you have created any CI checks or not. So let's say if you have created any CI checks, then those checks will run. So let's say if you're using GitHub Actions, it will first start creating a build. If the build of your test framework succeeds, then good. If not, you will get a notification on GitHub. If the build is successful, then it will run all your tests, and then if the tests are successful, then you go to the next stage. If not, again you get a notification on GitHub PR. Now the way of approval works is, so this part is all automatic, but you need like another person to approve your pull request. And the way it works is, let's say if you have created a pull request, somebody else has to look at your pull request. So let's say another tester starts his day or her day and then look at the pull request. The person can review the pull request, and then the choice is either the pull request looks good and the person can approve it, or the person can say, hey, can you make certain changes, can you make some improvements or fix some failures, and that is again, those comments will again go as notifications on your GitHub pull request. If everything goes good, and if the person does approve your PR and merges it, it will merge your current PR with the main branch of your application. And then of course, if you want to add some notifications, you can notify your results on Slack, and that's how like a typical workflow looks like. Now in case if you got some feedback from the reviewers, which is most often the case, you will always get some feedback to do some improvements. In that case, you basically make the changes, suggested changes on your local machine, and then you push, and then you again pull latest code, repeat the whole cycle, like merge with your current code, and then you push again the changes on the PR that you created. So this is how a typical like a pull request process looks like. I also added a bit of a quick command summary here, so that if you don't want to go through the whole process, but if you just want to see how does it look like. So the way it looks like is, first you change directory to your test framework, then you check out the main branch, then you pull latest changes from the main branch, then you check out a new branch if it is for the first time, or you check out an existing branch, in which case you don't give this a -b flag. Then you merge the changes in your branch with the main branch. You basically stage all your changes, you commit your changes, and then you push your changes on a remote branch. Now you go to GitHub, and then you create a pull request using its GUI. If you get any review comments, you fix those and push changes again. If meanwhile somebody else pushed their code to main branch, and if you have a fast forward policy, then you have to repeat the steps, like you have to pull the latest changes, merge with your branch, resolve the conflicts, and push again. And at the end, once you merge your pull request with the main branch, you can do some settings in GitHub to automatically delete the branches, but on your local machine you have to do that cleanup yourself. And basically after everything is done, then in your local machine you can check out the main branch, and then you can delete your local branch. So this is a quick command summary of how this whole process looks like. Now let's look it into practice, and let's go back to our project and implement this. So let's see. Let's see if I can open a copy of this image in parallel and split right. Let's remove this. Let's see if I can zoom it in a little bit, and let's see if we can repeat these steps how I showed in the summary, right? So as a first step, we are already in our project, right? Let's just look at the branch. If I do git branch, we are in the main branch. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. So we are in the main branch, and then we want to check out main. It's already checked out, so well, we already are on main. Then we want to pull latest changes. We already have all the latest changes, So these 3 steps are done, and now we want to add, basically now we want to create a new branch, and what we want to do is we want to add our readme file, right? So let's call this as git checkout branch add readme file, because at this moment, if you see, our project does not have a readme file, and GitHub is requesting us to please add a readme file so that people understand, what our project is all about. Let's go back. So now we have checked out a new branch. Let's verify it. Let's do a git branch. You can see we are on a new branch, right? At this moment, if I do git merge main, well, there's nothing to merge, but let's do it nonetheless, and it will say already up to date, because, well, we created this branch from the main branch. What else? We already have done git merge main. Now we want to add our file. This is a command if you're using like Git client. I like to use Visual Studio Code, as you already know. So let's open Visual Studio Code and let's see if we can add and commit our changes on this particular branch. So let's just do that. Or maybe let's just use the Git client from here itself, and because it's only one file, and then we can also parallelly look at this picture. So unversion file is readme file. Yeah, we want to commit it, so let's commit the file, and the message is adding readme file, right? Let's see, let's commit this message. So now our file contains problems, no errors and one warning. Would you like to review them? Let's review. Cannot resolve file end-to-end test workflow PNG. Okay, that's a good one. So basically, if I go to the readme file, it says, hey, you have tried to use an end-to-end test process, you tried to use this end-to-end test workflow PNG, but it does not exist. So let's do one thing, refactor, rename, Control C, cancel. Let's open this drawing and let's save a PNG file for it. File, save as PNG. So now we have this, and we want to save it inside images. Let's do a save. Let's close this again. Let's go back, Windows 1. So now we do have a end-to-end test workflow PNG. Let's also commit this. Let's go to Git. Let's commit this file. Add end-to-end test workflow PNG file. Commit. And this time you get no warnings, right? If we look at the workflow, now we have committed our changes. Now if we do git push, since we're doing it for the first time, you will see that we have a message that it says, if you're doing it for the first time, you will get this help message from Git, which is saying, hey, you have to git push set upstream origin and your branch name, which is this. So do a Control C and paste, enter. Now after this, you have basically got your changes on your remote branch, and now you can go to GitHub and create a pull request using its GUI. And in fact, it is actually telling us that if you want to create a pull request, you can just click on this hyperlink. So let's just click on it, and when we click on it, it says you can give it the name like adding readme file. This is the name of your branch. It will merge into the main branch. It is able to merge. There are no conflicts. And then if you look at the files, it is saying one file has changed, right? Which is what we are adding here. One file is changed, and in fact, if I click on create pull request, you will see that we have a end-to-end test workflow PNG. Why does it not show the readme file. So let's go back, because the readme file was only staged but not committed. So let's come here and let's say add readme file, right? And let's commit this change. And actually, if we go back, this is a good use case, because if you remember, for the first time we have to give this big command, but now we have added another commit and we don't have to give the big command. All you have to do is do a git push, and your change should be pushed into this pull request. So if we go to Windows 2, if we refresh this, you will see now it's showing two files. One of them is a readme file here, and second is an image, right? So with this, we also covered how to create a pull request. And now, of course, you cannot review your own pull request. Somebody else has to review it. In this case, well, since I'm making a video, let me just go and approve this. Like I can't even approve it, because if I try to review and approve my own changes, well, it says pull request authors can't approve their own pull request. But somebody else can actually go through these files now. You know, they can say, hey, can you update, for example, they might say, let's go here, important files. Maybe if this was not done, they could say, hey, now we've added a readme file, you know, can you put X mark against it, for example. Or they might ask us to format something or change something, in which case, you know, they can review this pull request and they can either approve it or only give a comment, or they can request some changes and they can submit their review. So that's the part about reviews. And yeah, like I mentioned, if meanwhile somebody else pushed their code, GitHub will complain. It will say, hey, you cannot merge your branch, and in which case you have to pull latest changes, you have to pull latest changes, you have to merge with the branch and push again. Now that's more like an advanced topic. I think I can cover it in the future if we ever come across a situation where, you know, more collaborators starts working on this project. Then of course there would be a problem, and then I can show you how this works. But at this moment, I think if we go here, let's merge the pull request, because there's nobody else reviewing it. So let me just merge the pull request. There are multiple options in which I can merge it. I can either create a merge commit, which will basically show all the commits that I've done, so basically 2 commits, or I can squash and merge, which will basically make 1 commit for the 2 commits, or I can do a rebase and merge, and then basically, you know, it just adds a new commit. It just like shows the last commit as the latest commit. At this moment, I want to do squash and merge because it's a very clean way of merging stuff. So let's just do confirm squash and merge. And if I now go to our code, you should be able to see a readme file now, right? And now it's looking much more better, because now people can understand what we really want to do with our project, what the project is all about, what our working principles are, what our test goals and objectives are. And this is giving a much better view than how it was before. But still, like you can see, we still have some formatting problems. Like this stuff is not formatted, right? Like these are not coming as bullet points, but like one big paragraph. So we still have some work to do, but I can clean up that in another video. We don't have to do it as a part of this video, because the purpose of this video was to show how you can collaborate with others. So we already achieved that. There's still one thing that I want to show is, if I go back, and maybe that's something that we can cover in the next video, is we did not, like at this moment, even though we use this procedure of doing stuff via branches, what we did not do was like protect our main branch. Like if somebody does not know how this works, they can still just go commit stuff on the main branch and they can push stuff on the main branch, right? And we want to avoid that. And there are some other GitHub settings that you can use, using which you can, you know, make best use of what GitHub has to offer. So for example, after a branch is merged, if you go now, even though we merged this branch, at this moment if I click here, you see we have like multiple branches. you have a main branch, you have a add readme file branch, there's a dummy branch which I created to play around with it. And what we really want is, after something is merged, we want to automatically delete this branch, right? There are a lot of cool stuff that we can do if we use Github Settings. So in our next video, that is something that I would like to cover, so that we can protect our projects better against accidental pushes, and by enforcing some policies and not just expecting that people will follow it. And in fact, we forgot just one last thing, and that is, once we have merged our branch, now there's no need for this local branch to exist. So if I do git branch, I want to delete this branch. If you try to delete this branch while sitting on this branch, it will not allow you. So for example, if I do git branch delete, it will complain because, well, you are on this branch. So what you have to do first is you have to check out another branch. In this case, we are checking out main branch, and now if you run the same command again, it will happily delete the branch, right? It says, and if I do git branch again, you now only have one branch. So I hope you learned something useful in this video. It became a little bit longer video. I expected it to become a longer video because, well, I expected that when we will go through this big workflow, it will take some time, and when we will try to also show it in practice, it is going to take some time. But this is like very crucial. This is how we are going to like contribute to GitHub from now on, even though I'm the only person working on it. But I really like to implement all the settings and contribute via pull requests rather than directly trying to push on the main branch. So if you like this video, yeah, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and in the next video, as I said, we will cover how we can protect our GitHub projects from accidental pushes and explore some other cool GitHub settings. So see you, cheers, have a good day, bye.